Well, it says I'm live. I hope I am. Maybe I'll turn that on too. See if I can get a little response out of that one. There. I'm getting a couple people jumping in here. Let me get, got my hair all goofed up this morning. Hope everybody's doing good this morning. Hey, Philip, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. I'm trying to make the best of the bad situations out here. Hey, Joey, how are you? Yeah, I'm eating a little yogurt. Y'all don't mind me eating my little bit of breakfast here. I'll try not to be too sloppy. Got that and my Mountain Dew. Trying to make the best of a bad situation out here. And all that sort of stuff. Is my signal okay, Philip? Joey? I hope my signal's good. What's on my shirt? Can you read it? Band of Oz. That's a good friend of mine who the signal's good. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's a beach band. Keith Houston, the leader of that band, he's a good friend of mine, and I just kind of did that in honor of all the beach guys. No, I'm not advertising. I'm advertising this. There's my Napa store. I'm not advertising my store on my shirt. This is just a good old comfortable cotton shirt, and so I thought I'd just put it on this morning. That sometimes you just want to put it on for the feel of it. So that's what it is. I guess I'm advertising for them. They're having a hard time, all these bands, and anybody that's got a service type job other than us. We're really busy right now. I had to run out a couple this morning and some extra stuff that we normally don't run. The freight's still there right now. Everybody's having to shop online and do different things like that. So the freight is definitely still hanging in there. And, I want to do the best I can with that. So far, the store is doing okay, but the FedEx side's we're still popping. Hey, Chris, how are you this morning? How's things out there in the Midwest? Has anything changed out there much? Over here, other than the restaurants being closed and a few things like that, we don't see a lot of change. Most businesses seem to be still running, about the same. I'm not seeing, a lot of people are adapting. You've got your hardware stores that are open, Lowe's, Home Depot, all that's still open. I would imagine your car dealerships are going to be hurting. I don't know how many people is going to want to get out and buy a car right now. We've had a beautiful couple of days. Now, today it's a little bit chillier for us. Today I got out here and just wore the t-shirt, and it's a little bit nippier than normal. Than yesterday anyway. Yesterday, oh gosh, it was a beautiful day out here. Couldn't ask for a prettier day. And, so it was different. I'm going to take another bite of my yogurt here if you guys don't mind. It's like eating my little ice cream, only it's not ice cream. Wow. 10,000 positive cases in New York. Yeah, that's tough up there. Yeah. Now we got the grass is kicking out pretty good our way. I did a video that I'm gonna put up online. I got a friend that I chat with every once in a while that has a farm called Stony Ridge Farm up above me here in North Carolina, and I got a little video that I made for him that I'm gonna put up online. And he's, we got good green grass down here. Yeah, you would think that New York would get hit harder because of the fact that uh, you got so many things coming into New York City and the population and the density. That's I think that's what helps a lot of places like our area. We don't have that much density. I mean, my little town here is only 5,000 5,000 people, and when you look at that, I mean, that in itself, the well, not that's not much itself. It's 5,000 people, and they're spread out pretty good. So I think the fact that the density uh, has a lot to play with it. And I mean, think about it. We're spread out anyway. Yeah, well, I tell you, it's a odd situation that we've placed ourselves in. The bad thing about it is we can't kill the entire economy just to combat this disease. We're going to have just as much problem like that. I think the leaders are going to have to get an even balance out there, or we won't. I don't know what we're going to see. Uh, so it's strange what we're going to have going on, and just throwing $1,000 after somebody, at somebody is not going to help anything. That's really just going to the value of the dollar is going to go down. So the those kind of situations are going to do it. But I mean, we're not the only one that their currency is going to be devalued a little bit too, because of the fact that uh, we're going to have they're going to be printing money. That's basically it. We're going to be printing money as opposed to making money, and that's never a good thing. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I saw that video, Chris. Do you know that Greg Judy? Yeah, I think he even had their book featured on. Doesn't he? He's got a book out too, hasn't he? Yeah, I think. Oh, now I just had to sneeze, guys. I don't have corona, and I hope you didn't get that. Sorry about that. Boy, that came up on me all of a sudden there. Yeah, the national debt's going to go up. I mean, the economic woes are going to be way deeper than uh, the physical woes. I'm afraid. Yeah, yeah. Stony Ridge. I mean, the boy's name's Josh, and he's probably just a little bit older than you, Chris. I think he's about 41, 42. He's a full time nurse. Him and his wife both, I think. Yeah, kung flu fighting. Yeah. Hey, Ponka, glad to see you get in here. I was worried about you. I hadn't seen you in a little while. Usually Ponka's right as soon as I sign on. Yeah, yeah. Fortunately for me, knock on wood, I've not had anything serious. And for a man of my age, I try to stay healthy. Of course, like I've told y'all guys, I've never been a drinker, smoker, anything like that. I've never smoked in my life, other than when I was a kid and experimented with smoking a little bit, but not anything in serious. I never was a a habitual smoker. Probably hadn't smoked 5 cigarettes in my life. And I hope that's something good for my health as far as my lungs. Yeah, I saw where they kicked out CNN. Of course, in some ways, I'd like to see them kick CNN out of the United States, but that's a whole different story too. No, but that goes to show you that that's propaganda at its best. I mean, they want their narrative, run through without actually having any factual things brought in. And so and I think Trump has expelled some of their not their media. I don't know. There was some sort of retaliation on that, but that you can't expect a communist country to give you anything good. Hey, Shoestring. Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't have my FedEx shirt on today. I got my Napa shirt on. I got FedEx trucks running this morning though. We're running some. We had a good run up to Lexington, Virginia, and then we couldn't get to Harrisburg to put together a driver on the other end to do the meet. So I had to switch my guys over doing some local, but that's okay too. I just soon keep them close by. That's no big deal. Oh, okay. Hold on a second, Joey. I wasn't even paying attention there. Hold on. Let me see if I can do that right now. And Joey, you got a blue wrench. Just sign on again and you'll see it. Let me get Jim one too. Jim's been in here several times. I like to the people that sign on and are decent people and don't give me junk or whatever. I had somebody the other day. I did a live stream and gosh, their whole name was an obscene thing, and then they were trying to jump in there, and I don't like that at all. I try to keep a clean channel. I mean, my grandson watches this, and he'll say something sometimes when I'm online, and I don't want my. That's right. That's a Carlisle blue wrench. There you got. And there's enough of cussing and fussing and going on. I mean, if you can't keep it clean, why keep one? I mean, I actually did a live stream the other day, and I didn't know I was on live, and my camera was goofing up, and I kind of said an old crap, only I didn't say crap, and then I went back and deleted it because to me, it embarrassed, and I'm, a former broadcaster too. I used to be on the radio all the time, and I used to, take pride in not cussing and everything else like that. And you couldn't, if you was a broadcaster, gosh, we had to fill out a form and all kind of stuff if we said a cuss word. It wasn't like Howard Stern back then. And, even Howard Stern got the big CBS radio stations in trouble years ago for his profanity and everything else too. So, the FCC is a little more lenient on that, but in reality, it's different. And it surprises me that the FCC doesn't have some sort of say so about what goes on YouTube. Right now, it's sort of the wild, wild west out there. But I sort of police myself. I don't want to. I don't want or need to have a cussing, fussing, say bad things to people type channel. That's just not my nature. I don't want it. I don't care for it. And, I would prefer having a more upbeat channel, even like today's times right now. I mean, we've got some very bad times. Some of the worst it is the worst that I have ever seen in my lifetime. I've gone through some depressions and everything else, but we're in uncharted territory right now, you might say. So I don't know. It's really going to be volatile for the next couple, 2 or 3 weeks, and I hope we don't bankrupt businesses, because that's my biggest fear. And a lot of it is, yeah. Well, we all have to. I mean, my mother used to always tell us, and I always kind of take it in heart, that anytime you start cussing, you actually lower your IQ about 10 to 15 points. Well, I'd be down to zero if I did that too much, wouldn't I? So I try not to have a situation where I cuss, and I guess I kind of do this in respect to my mother, even though she's passed on. I kind of, out of respect to her and different things, I want to have something that anybody can sign on to, and they're not saying, well, I can't be on that 2 seconds and without them cussing. I mean, we've even had to get on to my grandson about watching some of his channels, and some of those gaming channels. Every once in a while they'll say something, and we make him cut it out. So it is what it is. But I think I'm a lot better off by not cussing. I mean, I don't know what you guys think. If y'all wanted to hear me, GD this and F that and everything else, you're signing into the wrong guy. I'm just not going to do it. I'm sorry. It's just not my nature to do that, just to be doing that. I try to be a little more presentable. I can't even talk. Presentable. I'm slurring my words this morning. I want somebody to, if my mother-in-law were to sign on and hear it, or my wife, and my wife just despises when I'm listening to YouTube channels. There's a couple that I listen to, and they'll let out some expletives, and she will just give me that evil eye if I got the volume up. Sometimes I have to listen to them with the headphones on because of that. So I don't like to do that, and I don't like and I try to be respectful of if a woman is on the channel. I mean, of course, I know there's some women that cuss like a sailor. Don't get me wrong, I know that, but I guess I was raised in a different era than some people who feel like they can do anything like that. It's still I still get taken back when I hear it, so I don't like to hear it. And I've got a good friend that he is a little bit younger than me, but I have never. I mean, I'm talking about man to man, people out and about. I have never heard him cuss at all. And he says he made a vow to his mother never to cuss. And he's in a band. He goes around all kind of nightclubs. He does everything. He's a real good guy, good bass player and drummer and everything. But he does not cuss. You will never hear him cuss a single word. Now, I've cussed around him. I've said cuss words around him and everything, just out talking man to man and let one go. But you'll never hear him do it. And I respect him for that. I mean, and he's like me. He doesn't smoke or drink either. And he's around a lot of that. And I told him, other than the cussing part, I mean, he's better than me on that, but we're a little bit of oddballs out there because we don't, I've never drank in my life. I've never tasted a beer in my life. And when I say that, people look at me and they say, you're lying. I go, no, I'm not. I made a vow to my mother because my granddad was an alcoholic. I will tell you that my mother's dad turned into an alcoholic when she was after she was married to dad. He had had a house fire and lost everything he had, and a couple of his buddies took him to the bar or whatever and said, let's go out and have a beer, Oscar, and we'll do this and that. And a couple of his buddies took him to the bar or whatever and said, let's go out and have a beer, Oscar, and we'll do this and that. But he he was going through tragedy. I guess things like what we're doing right now. But Granddad was had thought he thought he was at the bottom of his world, because that this was back in the 40s, I guess 40s, early 50s. I don't know exactly when that house burned, but he had his house and it burned up and lost everything he had. I mean, he had to start from scratch again. He fortunately had some guys that helped him build a house back. He built a little smaller house, but at that point, he had a paid off house and lost everything. And this is I mean, these were the times when, not everybody had insurances like they do now. I mean, you think about it now, people say, well, you got house insurance. Well, not everybody had it back in the 40s or the 50s, and the Granddad just lost everything. I mean, I think it was late 40s, because I think the war, WW2 was over, I think. Yeah, and yeah, like you're saying, Chris. I mean, you can lose a house, and there's a lot of memories and everything else you'll lose. I mean, pictures, mementos that you want to keep and pass on to your family, and you lose them, and it's heartbreaking to do that. It is. You learn to swear in Polish. I'm looking back at Jim's. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's yeah. It's we're in, like I said, we're in uncharted territory right now, and everything. It's different. Guys, I want to ask you a question. Now, I may do this next week. I did it the other night. I don't know if anybody, I jumped on here Friday night. Of course, it was late and I didn't get a lot of people involved with it, but I used that yard stream where I could put multiple people up. Of course, I just did one guy, one other friend that was just down the street from here, and a comfortable man. How are you? But would any of y'all be interested if I do that? And then if you've got a webcam, or, way of, an iPad, or, any kind of way of getting a good video, would any of y'all be interested in jumping on the stream with me? And then we could all chat and talk. And I thought about doing that one Sunday morning, if any of y'all are interested. And, if I can get Chris, JC, and Ponca, any of you guys that would want to, I mean, I'm just throwing out names. I'm not trying to say y'all have to do that, but I'm just wondering if y'all would. Yes, and sometimes I probably do get y'all in your worst moments too at the time, but yeah, well, I mean, and that's the case too, Chris. I mean, sometimes the webcams are bad and some people don't do it, but I thought about doing that and trying it. I did it the other day, and like I said, it's interesting. I've been on some other chats in some other rooms and done that, and it was kind of fun. And I didn't know if y'all would want to be in. I thought I would kind of throw it out there. Witness protection plan. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier to chat than it is to be on live. Yeah, you can use your phone. You could use your phone if you want to. This boy the other night used his phone. You don't have to use a webcam. I mean, I actually have a webcam up here. I bought one of these Logitech, which is real good. It's a 4K camera and everything, and the picture seems to be good. And since I got good Wi-Fi out here and everything too, I'm gonna take a drink, guys. Got to clear my throat up. But I know JC's online live sometimes. I figured JC might could get in, and just thought about. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. We'll make everybody else a movie star. I don't know if I'm a movie star. I hope I'm not considered a movie star. I'm just an old country boy that enjoys doing this. I've met a lot of good friends out here, and you can tell usually how the person's personality is, and a few things like that. And I feel very comfortable coming out and chatting with everybody, and I hope y'all do as me, chatting back with me and that sort of stuff. Yeah, yeah. I guess I like Mike Rowe. Mike Rowe is he has a lot of good thought. Very very smart man, and I guess I have an alignment or a close affinity to what he tries to project out there. So I do like him. Yeah, he's really famous now. Mike Rowe does well for himself. I mean, that dirty was the Dirty Jobs program that he started years ago, and very is very informative, and it shows you. And I liked it because that's and he will tell you too. That's the salt of the earth. That's the people that gets the work done out here. When you got guys that are working in the sewers, guys that are dairy farmers that are out there slopping it in the dirtiest conditions, and breeders and people, the guy that picks up your trash, the guy that brings out fuel oil, there's, and even my job as a trucker, not quite as bad as some of the others, but trucking. I mean, we get greasy and oily, and a lot of people they're so like, ooh, I can't do that. I admire the person that gets his hands dirty and gets the job done. They are the essential employees out there. They're the essential workforce out there, and that's the ones that I'm really feel for, that are getting hurt right now. And I'm not so concerned about the commentators that are setting up in their ivory tower and still getting paid a good salary for getting on TV and spouting their propaganda. So that's not the person that I feel for. The person that I like Mike Rowe's podcast and everything too. Well, I mean, I'm not going to. I don't know if anybody needs to get any. You can't make an employer come off paying people extra on things, and some of this stuff that the government's wanting to push down our throat was a little bit overwhelming on the employer. I mean, they were wanting all this sick leave and everything else. Well, we have to pay that. I mean, if you don't already offer sick leave, that could be pretty bad for a guy that, if the guy, granted, if one of my employees got COVID-19, got that coronavirus, I would do everything in my power to help them. But I don't think that I should be mandated by the government to pay him a salary. And then I have to pay all those taxes and everything else that go along with it. And just so I can get a little bit of a tax relief, because I guarantee that that tax relief would be nowhere near what they would charge me on that. So it's tough. Well, that's the crazy thing about the toilet paper. And I even got a roll back here. I keep this to let y'all know I'm doing okay. I have a roll of toilet paper. Prized possession. We actually have a toilet paper plant that's just about 12 miles from here. They pump it out for everybody, for Sam's and a lot of different. It's not the it's not the Kleenex brand or the it's the in-house brand that a lot of these companies have. But that plant is just a few miles from here, and it stays busy all the time. I mean, we're not running out of toilet paper. Think about it. Georgia Pacific has not gone out of business. Georgia Pacific, who makes a lot of paper products and everything else. I mean, there's a great big Georgia Pacific plant down below Columbia, South Carolina. Bowater is another plant in Canton, North Carolina. They've got another one. So these paper plants, I do not understand the logic behind toilet paper rush. That's for sure. Yeah, the paper mill plants are probably definitely get a raise, because they're definitely going to, like I said, I do not understand that. That shows you the mentality. Hey, Dirt Boss. Yeah, that shows you the mentality of like we were talking about, the working man. The people that sometimes that are sitting in, and no offense to people that are in offices, but sometimes they don't have their heads on straight for what actually is happening in the real world. And somebody will say something stupid like the toilet paper. I don't understand the run on toilet paper. I really don't. I mean, as I was saying earlier one time, that we used to have an outhouse. When I grew up, my granddad had an outhouse. We even had one at the house that I used to live in, just about probably 200 yards from here. So I remember, unfortunately, we had stacks of newspaper there, and that we used that as toilet paper too. And like I said, and back then, you hated to get into outhouse, and all they left is the slick pages of the Sears and Roebuck catalog, and that was a tough time then. Yeah, well, yeah, they're spending money, and the hoarding is getting odd too right now, and and people. Yeah, well, I mean, it's all around here, and it just blows my mind, because, like I said, we have a toilet paper factory not 12 miles from here, and they're not going out of business anytime soon. Well, really, they're probably hiring right now because of all this rush, but it's really absurd that is being thought of as a hot commodity. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. It's something. It is. It's really something. And like I said, outhouses, I think they are still legal in the state of North Carolina. I was told that years ago. Now, I don't know if they've ever changed the law on that or not, but outhouses were actually still legal just a few years ago. Like I said, and I have no idea if that law has ever been changed, but it was legal to build an outhouse, dig a hole, put an outhouse over top of it. I told somebody the other day, they said, "Oh, you don't remember that?" I said, "Sure, I remember the outhouses. I remember when they would get, Grandpa would get a real well-built outhouse and fancy it up, I guess you might say, and back then. But he would actually move the outhouse after you filled up so much. I mean, you want to cover it up and clean up around it and move it. And I remember him. I remember him and my uncles and a few others getting out and moving the outhouse from one location to another location. Of course, now you know what they say, and of course, my mother was from Tennessee, and they had a bunch of. She lived over there. My mother was actually raised probably just a few miles from where Dolly Parton was raised, and that's my mother's background. When I see the things about Dolly Parton, and I see the old pictures, and I remember the times. And back then, I mean, we didn't know that we were poor. I mean, we lived the existence of what we were in, and of course, not that many people were rich back there anyway. Anywhere, we my granddad moved from Tennessee to North Carolina because of the fact that there wasn't much work in the last depression and the Great Depression, and he worked. He actually worked in a WPA camp, and he actually on the Tennessee River when they built some of the big dams and everything like that. My granddad was a cook on some of the work projects. I believe he was in a CCC camp, and it was WPA and CCC and a couple other things that came about during the Great Depression. And I hope we don't get into a situation like that again. I mean, we've got so many people now with soft hands. I don't think they can. I don't think that they could do it. I really don't. I mean, of course, now they had to back then too. My dad said he remembered bankers and lawyers coming to my granddad's farm and begging for some apples that they would get out and work, and so they could get some apples to take home, and or some pears or apples and stuff like the fruits off of granddad's fruit trees, or even potatoes or stuff like that, just to feed their family because times were tough. Yeah. No, we're not on lockdown yet. We got a crazy governor. I never know what he's going to do. Yeah, and that's what you got. You get a lot, like I said, a lot of soft hands, no spine. Nobody wants to work. And we're going to find out who works and who doesn't work in the near future. I mean, the people, I do believe that there'll be some resilience come out from certain aspect. I mean, certain people in this world, they're going to do okay. But the people that have nothing other than getting on a computer or doing just paperwork and have no other skill other than that, I really think they're going to be hurting. I mean, I always try to teach my son working skills, even though he's an engineer, he's an electrical engineer and has a good desk job. But my son also has his own workshop. He knows how to make furniture. He's got his own little milling machine. He likes working with his hands, and you got to applaud the people that work with their hands. And people that work with their hands are going to come out of this a lot better than people that don't work with their hands. And that's what you got to do. You got to put in a good garden. People, I guarantee that tomato plants are going to go sky high this year because people are going to want to put tomato plants out. People are going to want to put, lettuce and cabbage and everything else out, and okra. I remember doing that, and then we used to do a lot of sweet potato when I was growing up. My dad we'd harvest a lot of sweet potatoes, and just different things like that. And we were a self-sufficient farm, even though it wasn't a large farm when I was growing up. And I never thought that I would have to think back to the days that I did all that, but I can if I need to. And and the people that not everybody's going to be like Mike Bloomberg, who says, "Oh, farming's easy. Just throw a seed out there and cover it up with dirt." There'll be a lot of people out there to realize real quick that that's not it. Yeah. Yeah, that would be good if you could, but I'm not I haven't raised any cows in several years, but I know how. And we got the pasture out there to do that. And, uh, if I felt like, you know, and you're probably going to see stuff like freezers and a few things like that kind of be more in popularity than what they used to be. I mean, used to be they kind of fell out of popularity. Well, yeah, and that's it too. Comfortable, man. I mean, you're looking at not everybody's going to have the opportunity to raise cattle, and but if you can raise a garden and you can do some swapping around. I mean, we did that for years. I mean, my dad did that most of his life. Even he did grading work, and he'd go out and do some grading work for somebody and get trade a piece of equipment for something. And there's always a way to do you know uh, swapping around of stuff and bartering. And I would imagine bartering might, if our money goes down to nothing, then bartering is going to be a a big aspect of our life going forward. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm I've talked to the guys here in the store, and I said we may have to change the way we do things as far as not overstocking, but stock the essentials, but not get myself in a situation where I got a lot of stock that I owe for. I mean, I've got a certain level that I like to maintain, but uh, I can't overbuy and hurt myself financially on the store. Fuel prices are down to I'm going to say about I think 259 or something on diesel. Now gas has gotten cheap. Gas they said in Lincoln, just a few miles from here, uh, that gas was a dollar, and I want to say $1.69 or something like that. So gasoline is cheap. Diesel has not dropped yet. I mean, of course they had to put the well, they've got diesel fuel now with all the stuff they have to do to it really higher than anything else. I'm gonna take another bite here, guys. At least with the screen, I can see if I got something on my lip, can't I? Yeah, I'm eating yogurt. I'm eating healthy, eating yogurt. So before it gets hot, I'd like to get that knocked out, if y'all don't mind, without looking too sloppy. Then wash it down with some good old Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah. What's the price of fuel up now? You're in where, Dirt Boss? Aren't you around New York or Ohio? I can't remember. I can't remember where you're from. Yeah, I didn't get shaved good young. That's my problem. I got some. Yeah, New York. I was thinking that. Yeah, you're up there where what is it? Andrew Camarata, the boy. I watch his show on YouTube. Neat little young man. He tickles me though. He will he'll work on something, and he was showing he got him a new truck. Oh, it wasn't new. It was new to him. And of course, he was talking about. He said, it's got just the right amount of dents and everything else wrong with it. 236 for the gas, huh? Okay. What part of New York are you in? Upstate New York or? Yeah, his videos run long, but I mean, man, he's put some money into his castle out there. Putting all that steel for that roof and everything. Gosh, I hate to think how much he spent a good bit of money on that. Yeah. Conyers $1.95 a gallon. Yeah. Yeah. It was down to $1.69 or $1.70. It was down pretty daggum low in Lincoln just the other day. Do you think, I don't know if Andrew comes from a well-off, if you're talking about Andrew, I don't think he comes from a well-off family. I think he comes from a, hard-working family because he's a worker. I mean, you got to give the young boy. And I watched his show over the past few years, and he started off pretty humble, and he's negotiated his way up, and I would imagine he's doing real well with YouTube because he's up to about 450,000 subscribers and everything. And I don't know if I'll ever get that far. I think I'm in the thousands now, but I'm not anywhere like JC or some of the other guys yeah. But I see Andrew's buying a lot of equipment. I don't know if he's buying it or getting it sent to him or whatever, but lately he's been getting a good bit of equipment. And there's a lot of guys that are doing that. And I applaud anybody that does that. If you're able to, I mean, that's how the TV networks and everybody else has built their businesses over the years. And when I had the radio station, when I used to own the radio station, we had guys that wanted to barter on that too. And I'm all for bartering. I mean, if you can barter and make money, that's the name of the game. Well, and we need to make sure that our children work hard. I had my grandson out here working at the Napa store since school's out right now. I had him out here this past week. It's I had to check. It's Andrew Camarada or something. If you can kind of look up about any subject about landscaping, if you look up landscaping and just kind of any oddball thing that you might be doing, he's done some of those. Yeah, well, and that's you got to take that with a grain of salt too on the way they do things too. Some people, Andrew's not he's not a great finish guy. I mean, it's a little bit. I had a brother-in-law that was a little bit like that, and he would do carpentry work like that, and it was sort of like, well, that's good enough, and he would get the job done, but it just wasn't the prettiest job. I mean, some people, their satisfaction of a job well done is their bar is a little bit lower than others, and I guess that's where Andrew is on stuff, but he's interesting. Yeah, I know, and that's it. Of course, he's out there moving his camera around and everything else, so it's different. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, he. I guess the good thing about it, and I'm not going to knock it because I've seen him do some things. I go, well, that's kind of inventive, or I'd see him do some stuff, and I go, I don't know if I would have done that or not, but I've seen him tear up some stuff that I wouldn't have torn up in the process, and we all can be second guessers of the way somebody does stuff. I try not to be too critical because I mean, people when they watch what I do, they'll probably say, well, you should have done this instead of that. So I look at it that way. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably something about Andrew, but yeah, he's interesting. I like him as far as I mean, I give him a a thumbs up for getting out there and just getting it done. So many people don't even try to attempt anything. So he's attempted a lot of things, even though maybe he wasn't as knowledgeable as he should have been. And he's learned through trial and error. Yeah, yeah. That's I'm finishing up this yogurt here. I'm done with it, so I won't bother y'all with that anymore. um, yeah, I can see my little. I didn't shave too good right here, did I, Chris? I guess you can see it on the camera. I got some little gray nubs there on the bottom. I got in a hurry this morning. Philip, you take care, and I hope you have a good rest of the day also. Yeah, I got a high definition camera and a low definition face. That's my problem. Uh, yeah, it is. I got the lighting and everything in here that shows. Yeah, I did. I didn't. I can feel it. I was in a hurry and I just shaving away and I got a cheap Fu Manchu or whatever. Well, and that's sometimes functional is what we're after. And my dad was never a good carpenter. Uh, my dad had no carpentry skills whatsoever. He would nail up stuff and he could keep something from getting out with nailing up something, but he was never a skilled carpenter. And I always wanted to be a step ahead of that because I used to. Dad would put stuff up at the barn or whatever, and he'd take it and nail it. He would never, a lot of times he wouldn't measure it. It'd be close enough, and you'd nail something up, and you'd have a board out here, and then just it didn't matter. And if it didn't matter to him, he didn't care. Just grab that board and nail it up, and it'll keep something in or keep something out, or that sort of situation. So. He never put too much effort into that. Yeah, I like the YouTube for it's camaraderie to me. I like getting out here and chatting on Sunday morning. I'm getting a little congested myself. I'm getting worried. It's actually allergies, though. I can tell what my allergies kick in every time this time of year, and I'll get congested and I have to do some stuff. I don't have any kind of fever or anything, but I do feel the allergies. The pollen was terrible this morning on my car, and so when pollen gets up, my allergies kick in a little bit, but that's it. Yeah. Now, my dad was forever. I mean, we'd get sawmill lumber and put stuff up at fences and Dad did what Dad needed to do. That's for sure. Yeah, and that's the way you got to look at it some bit too. I mean, I tell everybody on this channel, I like for them to sign up to the other guys' channels, and I try to help promote, and I put different ones on my links too. Probably I'll put Dirt Boss over there. I see him in here a lot. I'll put yours on my link, and then that way everybody can help somebody. I enjoy doing that. I hope I've helped. Chris and I both have kind of cross promoted each other on our channels, and mine has taken a little bit of my feet are getting going pretty good on mine, and I had a little bit of corruption on it, but other than that, it's doing pretty good. And I tried to help that, and wanted to reach out. I mean, we got one guy that I don't know if y'all have seen. He's been on here a little bit too. Everyday Fleet Tech actually caught the virus. I don't know if y'all saw that. He's actually quarantined. He caught the coronavirus, and he was on the channel the other night that I was on, and he's got it bad. He's a young guy. I want to say he's about 37, 38 years old. he's a mechanic at Delta Air. I think it's Delta, in Atlanta at the airport. And he and his wife and children went on vacation to Disney World, and they caught it. Well, I think while they were at Disney World, or either on the flight back or somewhere along the line, he came in contact with somebody and caught the coronavirus. And he says it's kicking his butt. Well, I hope I've helped you some. Yeah. Well, I hope everybody, a lot of different a lot of different people out there have got some big channels. I mean, I know Chris knows Jonathan W. And that's a boy from North Carolina, not too far from here. And that boy, he gets, and a lot of it has to do with his skill too. He's an old redneck that knows how to fix some cars and trucks, and he gets out there and he's got a wrecker and all kind of stuff. And he's got a big following on his channel. I think he's a couple 100,000. Oh, you flew to Miami or is that Miami or Michigan? Good morning, Ralph. How are you doing? Yeah, jump on in here. You had to jump in and catch up. You never know what everybody's doing this morning. Really? Well, I tell you, it's getting into a panic situation for some people. I don't, I don't know what's going to become of it. I know it's a bad one, but it's still the flu. And if they've got this malaria drug that they're using in combination with some things that they say that's helping a good bit. And hopefully with that, the change of the weather, just a lot of different things in that's going on, flu season itself kind of dies back, the spring and summer a little bit. So maybe we can get some of this under control. I don't know. I sure hope so. I mean, I hope that, we're able to do something about it because, like I said, the main thing we're going to have to get out there and justify what's the most important, killing off our entire economy or containing every single person out there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the where the defining line is. I mean, there comes a point in time that you're going to have just as many people die from a bad economy. I mean, if the economy collapses and you've got too many people impoverished, then you're not helping the nation that way. Yeah, and I try to, like we were talking about the videos, I hope that everybody will click on everybody else's. If you've got a YouTube channel, if you don't, I understand. Not everybody wants a YouTube channel. I enjoy my channel, and I try to make it enjoyable because it gives me a little something else to do. I'm an old high-tech redneck anyway. That's what I tell people because I've been into video and electronics and radios and different things all my life, and I enjoy that. Some people don't enjoy it. I mean, and even computers. I rebuilt 2 computers this weekend, and a lot of people wouldn't think a man of my age and everything else would get in there. But I rebuilt 2 Macs this weekend. I took probably should have done a video on that, but I was trying to get them done. But I took and put the new storage, the SSD storage in both my MacBook Air and a Mac Mini that I have. I like Macs. A lot of people have PCs because they're cheaper, but I got into really liking Macs a few years ago because I never get any viruses. You don't get a virus with Macs. And speaking of viruses, Same thing, as far as that. The Mac operating system works off of Linux, and that's a way more stable system than Windows, and so that's one reason I like it. I mean, I used to fix tons of Windows computers, and people will just have junk on it. They'd click on something, and then they would get an executable file, and then it would corrupt the entire computer, and then they'd say it have all kind of junk on it, and people say, "Well, I got to get a new computer. This was just so slow, I can't even do anything." And then you go in there and you look at it and you, well, I need to reformat this because you've really corrupted the operating system. And then when you redo that, the actual hardware of most people's computer is never the issue. It's the software that's what they do to it. And so many people are dumb when it comes to using the computer properly. But I like the Apple products. I mean, the iPhone's great. I got the new iPad coming. I might do an unboxing of that. I bought me the new iPad Pro that I'm gonna have this week. I know maybe I shouldn't be. If my wife hears this, she might fuss at me. But it's an expensive little iPad, but it's supposed to be able to do some editing real good, and it's supposed to have a real good camera on it, as good as the iPhone 11. And so, and I use those phones and everything, and they're good. Yeah, back in the old roaring 90s. Yeah, and my son and I, we started back in the 70s. I don't know if I've told y'all the story. I think I have, but my wife and I were going through Sears, and that shows you how old this story is. We were going through a Sears store in Gastonia, and they had a video game playing, the Pong, back and forth. And she said, "Oh, we ought to get that for the kids for Christmas." This was like 78, 79 or something like that. My son was he was about 6 or 7 years old, something like that. And I said, "No, I don't want that." I said, and at that time, Radio Shack had come out with their small color computers. I said, "No, I want to get this." She said, "Well, that's 3 times higher." I said, "I don't care." I said, "That will be more valuable than getting that little game." I said, "They've got games with that." And I said, "But they can learn to program with that." Well, fast forward, 30, 40 years now, my son did real well with that. He learned to program on the computer. He actually had a program that was published by the Color Computer Magazine, which was a national magazine at the time. And he really got into that. And of course, he went on to be a computer engineer and electrical engineer, graduating from NC State with 2 degrees, and has done well the past 25 years as an electrical engineer down here at Baldor. Well, it was Rockwell Automation, and then they got bought out by Baldor and everything. And then Baldor now is bought out by another company. But anyway, most people out here that we're talking to know, you've seen Baldor motors on air compressors, and they build them from small air compressors all the way to huge mining machines. And my son's able to be an engineer for that, and I'm very proud of him for doing that, and glad that he's done well with his education. But that being said, like what we were talking about a while ago, I'm just as proud of him for learning, and that I taught him how to work with his hands too, and he appreciates that. So it's a good thing. It's really a good thing. Yeah, yeah. That's, and my son, getting back to that, my son and I, and that's one of the things we started doing early on. And I actually started a business because of that. We were building PCs, and we got into building a lot. I bet I've built probably, he and I together, we've probably built 300 or 400 PCs over the years, and then, did real well with it. he wasn't that big in audio. I was now when to let you know how far back I did on that. I used to install radios. Uh, I actually started my first business. I started was an audio type store. I saw it was a record store. Sold tape players and to tell you how far back it was 8-track tape players. We were selling 8-track tapes, and then we got into cassettes, of course, and then I never really got into CD players or anything. I mean, I got out of that business prior to CD players coming into play. But oh yeah, we had 8-track tapes, reel to reel recorders, all that kind of stuff. Now that was my generation. But yeah, 8-tracks. Yeah, I know. I'm old, guys. I'm old. That and when you say an 8-track tape, people go, "What?" Yeah, most people have no concept of what an 8-track tape is. Oh, you got one that still works. Good, good. I think I do too. I actually have an 8-track recorder, an Akai. It was AKI. Akai, and then Akai is a brand that still at it. And Zenith, you don't hear Zenith much anymore, do you? Yeah, when the guys were coming back from Vietnam and everything, a lot of the guys were buying reel to reel recorders and bringing them back. They would get the Akai, and Roberts was another. Roberts was the American brand, but it was actually made by Akai. And then there was another one too. Tascam. Yeah, Tascam, of course. But Akai was a big brand name that people would, they would, have the reel to reel recorders, and they would take that and, back then record. And I started doing that. I had a reel to reel recorder, had the mixers and everything. And I used to start taping bands and everything way back. Yeah. And I will show you how that here is the result. You see that, guys? There's the result of loud rock and roll music. And of course, my first job as a switcher. I have hearing aids in both ears. I got one there and I got one here. So y'all have to talk. You have to type loud sometimes for me because I do wear hearing aids. I used to record music, and I'd have the setup right near the band, and a big loud speaker cabinet, and it's booming away, So it's what happens. You're going to put it into 56 and drive around with it. Yeah. Well, see, the 8-track tape came about. Actually, it spun off of the 4-track tape. And let me tell you, I don't know if you'll know who invented some of this. The inventor of the 8-track tape, look me up on this on Google, was a guy named Bill Lear. And the Lear name, you might remember, he also invented something else called the Lear Jet. And of course, I think he was able to get the Lear Jet because he got so rich off the 8-track tape player. But he invented the 4-track. They had a 4-track before they had the 8-track. And the 4-track actually had what they call a capstan that flipped up in there. And the radio stations actually used those. Radio stations used them for what they call their cart machines for years. And it was a different technology, but Bill Lear came up with the 8-track, which he made off of the 4-track, and he actually put the capstan inside. he put the capstan actually inside of the tape itself, and so it'd have a constant. But the one thing you'll notice, not I don't know if in the old audiophile guys, if you ever get an old 8-track tape, because of the fact that the 8-track tape, the capstan itself was never perfect in size. You know, you could get a 8-track tape from one person and get another person to have the exact same 8-track tape. But if that tape was actually manufactured in a different factory or whatever, it would have a different speed. So the sound would be just a little bit different, because you were never able to put two 8-track tape players together, push them both in and start them at the same time, and they both sound exactly, they're never synchronized. In other words, you never be able to synchronize, because the speed was never 100% the same. Now, Learjet is LE. Here, hold on, and I'm gonna type this in so you guys can look it up. Yeah, the inventor's name was Bill. Whoops, I'm gonna type better. Bill Lear, like that. It's Lear Jet. Yes, Bill Lear. I mean, look it up, guys. I mean, I'm not online with Google right now, so I can't look it up. But look up the name Bill Lear, and you know, he'll tell all of what he invented and everything else. But he was just a good old boy too, that got out there and invented some stuff. He, from what I remember reading and hearing about him, he wasn't anything fancy, but he invented the 8-track tape for one thing, and then the Lear jet, and he came out with a more economical, smaller jet, a lighter weight jet, and that's what made him famous too. And you know, just a smart person, a real smart person, and you know, that's what this whole world's about, is having that type person with a good inventive mind. Okay. Ampex, yeah, Ford Motor. Okay. But you know, Bill Lear in there. Okay. Somebody comfortable man already looked it up. Pace it and good. Yeah. 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 He was fancy when he got his own jet. That's for sure. He didn't start out that way though. Yeah. You know, it's really, I love to see all these different inventive minds out there, and you know, we're going to have some creativity, I think, coming out of this bad situation we got now. I mean, you're going to have people that realize what has caused some panic, and what people are yearning to do, and the different things like that. So you'll find some creativity, I think, coming out of this. A lot of times, you know, just having bad situations is tough on the people and everything. Well, I'll tell you what's tough is my voice right now. As you can tell, I'm getting sounding more and more like Foghorn Leghorn. My old voice can only take so much. An hour and 13 minutes straight through, and I'm the guy doing most of the talking. Y'all guys are just typing. I'm doing the talking. And it's wearing out the old voice here, the old voice box. And I might have to go home, and I can see that right there. I might have to go home and shave a little bit better too. But like I said, I got a high definition camera and a low definition face. So y'all I had to apologize for that. So y'all guys take care. I've enjoyed it this morning. I hope everybody's doing well. A few people I didn't see in here that usually get in here, but maybe we can get them next week. And I may try to do some of this linking in and get a couple, 2 or 3 people on here to chat at the same time and see how y'all like that. So y'all take care. I've got some videos I'm going to post and put up. So maybe y'all can see some of those too. I tried to fancy it up a little bit. So maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I don't know. I did a little bit of post production, editing, and everything. So hopefully I can do something. So y'all take care, guys.